When I first entered the Friars, I was told by a lot of people that I was really idealistic. And this was occasionally meant as a compliment, admiring my energy and passion for certain issues. But more times than not, what I heard them saying was, "You're such a kid. Wait until you get older. You don't know anything." And even though it was a bit condescending and meant as a bit of an insult, it never really bothered me, because I knew that the people who often said these things were extremely cynical, and I wanted nothing to do with that. If I'm going to err on a side, it's definitely going to be on the side of idealism. Because when I say idealism, I don't mean living in a fantasy world of wishful thinking or hiding from the world's problems by constantly dreaming up solutions that are completely impossible. That's not idealism. That's escapism. When I say that I'm a bit idealistic, I mean that there is a central belief in me that drives everything I do. The belief is that the world does not have to be the way it is, and that my actions can make it better. I can make a difference. We can make a difference. For me, it's not a matter of simply wishing that things weren't the way they are, of dreaming up some better world. It's a matter of actually believing that certain changes are possible with the right action. Maybe that makes me a practical idealistic, maybe just an optimistic person, I don't know. But what it means is that I could never be someone who hopes for a change without doing something myself. Be the change you wish to see in the world, as they say. And for me, it wasn't enough to say that I cared for creation. I ate meat sparingly for 4 years, used as little water as I could in the shower, carpooled even when inconvenient, started initiatives in the friary to use less water and to be more efficient. I was concerned about the products I bought and where I was buying them, so I boycotted certain businesses that I thought were acting against the values of our faith, and even paid a little bit extra to support the ones doing the right thing. I took my civic duty seriously, and so always made sure that I was informed, voiced my opinion to candidates, and voted in elections. Rather than pointing the blame at someone else, rather than throwing my hands up in the air and complaining about the way things are, I've always wanted to do what I could to make things the way they should be. As long as I've had the belief inside me that I could make a difference, I was able to work for what I knew was right. But here's the pivot. As I've gotten older, as I've seen more things and faced more challenges, those cynical voices from before have found a way to sneak in at times. And I find myself asking more and more, am I actually making a difference? Does any of this even matter? What difference does it make if I turn off the lights, recycle, or watch what I eat when major corporations do more to hurt the environment in a minute than I do all year? What difference does it make if I stop shopping at certain places, stop buying certain products? It hasn't gotten in the way of these companies making billions each year. And what difference does it make if I stay informed and vote when my state went solidly in one direction and 100 million people in our country didn't even vote in the last election? For me, it's not a matter of all of a sudden realizing that something is going to be difficult. It's not a matter of all of a sudden realizing that it's going to take a lot of work, that it might fail, or that it won't be accepted by everyone. I might be passionate and overly hopeful, for sure, but I don't think I've ever been naive. No, for me, the thing that crushes my enthusiasm more than anything is not the challenge or the work or the possibility of failure. It's losing that fire that keeps the whole thing alive. The belief that I'm making a difference. When I feel that I'm making a difference, when what I'm doing matters, even if in an extremely small way, I can keep going even with failure. Over the past few months, after more than 7 years of being active on social media, sharing my story, trying to evangelize and catechize, I began to have doubts and questions about my social media ministry. I'm doing a lot of work, getting a lot of attention, sure, but am I actually making a difference? I look at this platform, at the other forms of social media, and I see an amazing opportunity to spread the gospel, to reach people in a way that have never been reached before. At its best, the internet has the ability to connect people who would otherwise never interact, to create this space of engagement where ideas flourish and the world is made a better place. And yet, all I've been able to see lately is how it serves as a silo to extreme thinking, connecting people who do not want to learn, who do not want their views challenged, who only want their perspective affirmed by others, and use this tool to attack those who make them uncomfortable. even though I avoid controversial issues like the plague, trying to stick to the mission of evangelization and catechesis, trying to break through useless labels and tribalism and wedge issues that serve only to distract us from what really matters. I find that almost every topic, no matter how mundane, receives a rush of negative responses and a flurry of people unsubscribing. What bothers me is not so much the negativity in itself. I can delete hurtful comments and move on. I'm not in this ministry to be liked. No, what bothers me and what has caused me to doubt what I'm doing of late is the creeping suspicion that all I'm doing is preaching to the choir. That, like the rest of the internet, people will listen to what I say as long as it affirms their beliefs. But as soon as I say something challenging or difficult, they're gone. And so, like so many things in my life, I've been left to ask a difficult question over the past few months. Am I actually making enough of a difference to keep going? Ultimately, I don't know. And I'm not sure if I ever will know, to be honest. And in a way, that's not the point of this video. The reason I share these questions with you is not to get feedback. I'm not looking for assurance or compliments or affirmation, anything like that. I've discerned that continuing to evangelize and catechize through social media is what I'm called to do for now. So that's not in question, don't worry. The reason I share this is to offer an example of what I think each and every one of us goes through as a disciple of Christ. What we are doing is arguably the most idealistic endeavor we could ever take on. We devote our lives to a ridiculous idea that love will always triumph, that death has no power over us, that weakness actually leads to strength, and that through the power of a God we've never seen or heard, we can change the world. If at no point in your discipleship do you ever have a doubt about what you're doing, never ask yourself whether or not you're making a difference, my guess is that you're not completely giving yourself over to this mission. This is a ridiculous life that we live, an impossible world that we envision and work for. We are going to hit walls. We are going to be rejected. We are going to believe that nothing we do is making any difference, and so why do we even try? When I find myself in these situations, struggling to find inspiration, questioning what I'm even doing, I have to remind myself of two things. The first is a matter of personal integrity. I do what I do not because it's what others want me to do, not because it will make me popular, not because it'll make my life easier or more comfortable, but because I think it's the right thing to do. With or without me, corporations may pollute the oceans, businesses may engage in shady practices, and millions of people may choose not to vote. In some ways, my actions will have absolutely no effect on the end result. But the way I live, for the values I stand for, matters to me. At the end of the day, the world may not be changed in the way that I had hoped it would be. The sea of others' actions might have been too great to overcome. But I'll still have that question for myself. Did I let the actions of others justify my giving up on what I believe in? Did I let their cynicism crush my own passion and belief in something that matters? Or did I do my part? Did I do what was right? Did I live with integrity, even though I may have seen no results? Because the fact of the matter, the crux of this whole question, is that there is something much more important at work here. Just because you don't see the results doesn't mean that you're not making a difference. Which brings me to my second point. No matter what we think we may or may not be doing, ultimately, God is in charge. If we truly believe, we have to trust. Too often, I think we fail to have patience. We fail to see that some things, big things, take a long time to unfold. We fail to have trust in the fact that just because we don't see results, that something isn't happening. We fail to see that, ultimately, it's not us that will bring about a conversion, but only God. It is in times of doubt, in times of frustration, times when I worry that what I'm doing is all for naught, that we must remember this above all. To remember that it is not our duty to save the world, to enact the results. All that we can ever do is live with integrity, to do what is right, to do what God has asked of us, and to trust that God will do the rest. And so, if you ever find yourself in the position that I'm describing, losing hope in your work, losing hope in the world, I want to leave you with one of my favorite prayers of all time. Often attributed to St. Oscar Romero, it's the work of two American bishops who understood that even if we can't see the fruit of our labor, we may still be prophets in a world not our own. It helps, now and then, to step back and take a long view. The kingdom is not only beyond our efforts, it is even beyond our vision. We accomplish in our lifetime only a tiny fraction of the magnificent enterprise that is God's work. Nothing we do is complete, which is a way of saying that the kingdom always lies beyond us. No statement says all that could be said. No prayer fully expresses our faith. No confession brings perfection. No pastoral visit brings wholeness. No program accomplishes the church's mission. No set of goals and objectives includes everything. This is what we are about. We plant the seeds that one day will grow. We water seeds already planted, knowing that they hold future promise. We lay foundations that will need further development. We provide yeast that produces far beyond our capabilities. We cannot do everything, and there's a sense of liberation in realizing that. This enables us to do something, and to do it very well. It may be incomplete, but it is a beginning, a step along the way, an opportunity for the Lord's grace to enter and do the rest. We may never see the end results, but that is the difference between the master builder and the worker. We are workers, not master builders. Ministers, not messiahs. We are prophets of a future not our own.